Hello and welcome back to ThePrint World 360. I'm Vartika Singh, and over the next few minutes, we will discuss three important global headlines like Canada's Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland resignation, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz facing no confidence vote, and Iran pressing pause on its new hijab law. First up, in a move that has sent shockwaves through Canadian politics, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned from her post, citing disagreement with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau over how to respond to incoming President Donald Trump tariff threats. Freeland announced her resignation in a letter to Trudeau, explaining that the two had been at odds over the best path forward for Canada. She highlighted the grave challenges posed by Trump's policy of aggressive economic nationalism. The resignation came just hours before Freeland was set to deliver the government's annual fiscal update. In her letter, she revealed that Trudeau had informed her last week that he no longer wanted her to be his government's top economic advisor. Freeland's exit is poised to push Trudeau's already fragile minority government to the brink. After nearly 9 years in power, the Prime Minister faces growing calls to step down, with his approval rating plummeting from 63% when he first took the office to just 28% in June. Following Freeland's resignation, several sitting Liberal MPs, including Helena Jaczek, called on Trudeau to resign, criticizing his decision to dismiss a trusted finance minister. An emergency Liberal caucus meeting was convened to discuss the fallout. Hours after Freeland's announcement, Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, a close friend of Trudeau, was sworn in as her replacement. Trudeau appeared at the swearing-in ceremony but made no public comment. His office and the finance department both declined to respond to media inquiries. In her resignation letter, Freeland stressed the importance of keeping Canada's fiscal powder dry to face the looming threats of tariff from the President Trump, who has vowed to impose a 25% levy on Canadian imports. Economists warn that these tariffs could devastate Canada's economy. Freeland referred to them as a serious threat that demands a united response from the government. When the fall economic statement was released, it revealed a $60 billion deficit, for exceeding Freeland's original $40 billion target, adding to the pressure on the government. Freeland and Trudeau were reportedly divided on several recent proposals, including $250 check for every Canadian earning less than $150,000 and tax holiday during the holidays, both of which were criticized as politically motivated during a time of rising deficits. Opposition leaders, including Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, have called for a federal election, saying the country is spiraling out of control and that Freeland's resignation comes at the worst possible time. Meanwhile, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has also urged Trudeau to resign, but stopped short of calling for a vote of non-confidence, which could force an election. Freeland, who has been one of Trudeau's closest allies, served as a finance minister since 2020 and played a key role in leading Canada through the pandemic. Her resignation marks a major turning point in Canadian politics. Liberal cabinet members like Minister of Transport Anita Anand expressed shock at Freeland's departure, calling her a good friend and reserving further comments for later. The Business Council of Canada has called Freeland's resignation deeply troubling, questioning the government's priorities and whose interests are being served. Freeland has said she will remain Liberal Member of Parliament and intend to run again in the upcoming federal election, set to take place no later than October. Her resignation follows another departure, with Housing Minister Sean Fraser announcing he will not seek re-election to focus on his family. As Canada faces growing political turbulence, the fallout from Freeland's resignation could reshape the country's future. The road ahead for Trudeau's government remains uncertain. Now moving to Europe, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz is now facing a no-confidence vote in Parliament, a crucial moment in German politics. After the collapse of the ruling coalition in November, the vote sets the stage for potential early election in February 2025. In his final address as Chancellor, Scholz accused his former coalition partner, the Free Democratic Party, of sabotaging the government. He called their actions theatrics, saying that they are not only harmed the government, but also the image of German democracy. The origins of this political crisis date back to the formation of the coalition itself. In the 2021 election, the Social Democratic Party had its best performance in 2 decades. But its coalition with the Greens was not enough to secure an absolute majority. Enter the FDP, promising budget balance and minimal government intervention. Their ideology's difference with the SPD and Greens led to a constant fighting, especially on issues like climate policy, immigration, and the controversial debt brake. The situation worsened in September when the SPD, Greens, and FDP performed poorly in a regional election, while the far-right party Alternative for Democracy made a significant gains. The breaking point came in November when Scholz fired Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland of the FDP, leading to the party's exit and leaving the government without a majority in the Bundestag. Under the Article 68 of the German Constitution, a non-confidence vote can lead to the dissolution of parliament if the Chancellor's motion is not supported by the majority. This provision, created after the World War II, prevented a Chancellor from dissolving parliament, unilaterally aims to avoid political instability. Historically, no confidence votes have triggered early elections. The most recent example was in 2005, when Chancellor Gerhard Schröder called for a confidence vote, leading to an election that brought Angela Merkel to power. If Scholz loses the vote, Germany will head to the polls on February 23, 2025, 7 months ahead of schedule. The CDU and CSU is currently the frontrunners, but they would likely need to form a coalition with either the SPD or the Greens. Friedrich Merz, tipped to be the next Chancellor, will face the daunting task of reviving Germany's stagnating economy, navigating tensions with the US over tariffs, and addressing the growing concerns surrounding immigration and Ukraine. Germany now stands at a crossroads. With its political future uncertain, the upcoming vote will decide not only the fate of Chancellor Scholz but also the direction of the country in the coming years. Now looking at the Middle East, Iran's National Security Council has paused the implementation of the controversial Hijab and Chastity Law, which was set to take effect this Friday. President Masoud Pezeshkian called the law ambiguous and in need of reform, signaling his intention to reassess its measures. The proposed law was named as the Law on Protecting the Family through the promotion of the culture of chastity and hijab. Under the law, it provides punishment to those aged 12 and above who fail to wear a hijab online or offline and for promoting or advertising nudity or immodest or improper dressing. While the failure to wear a hijab is already punishable with fines and imprisonment under Iran's existing Islamic penal code, the new law introduced heavy fines and longer prison sentences of up to 15 years. It also allowed for the possibility for the judges to apply the death penalty under the offense of corruption on earth. Human rights groups, including Amnesty International, have expressed alarm, with some warning that this law would deepen Iran's already repressive system. During the presidential race, Pezeshkian openly criticized the government's treatment of women over the hijab issue, promising not to interfere in their personal lives. Mazoume Ibtika, former vice president for Women's Affairs, has also condemned the law, calling it an indictment of half the Iranian population. Last week, Iranian singer Parasto Ahmadi was arrested after performing a concert on YouTube without wearing the hijab. Her arrest sparked widespread backlash and authorities released her the next day. The hijab debate intensified after the 2022 protest following the death of Mahsa Zina Amini, a young woman who died in a police custody after being detained for allegedly violating the dress code. Since then, many young women have publicly removed their hijabs, defying the government authority. Over 300 Iranian rights activists and journalists have condemned the new law, calling it illegitimate and unenforceable. Despite pressure from hardline factions, Pezeshkian's supporters believe the law will fail to stop young women from challenging it and may even escalate tensions. The decisions to pause its implementation suggest that the government fears another wave of mass protests like those seen 2 years ago. As the hijab law faces uncertainty, the tensions in Iran over women's rights and government controls continues to grow. We will get you the latest on these and more. For more such updates, do log in into The Print. Thank you for watching.